Welcome everyone to the very first TC Legal podcast. In January, we posted a video in which I indicated that we had an exciting announcement coming up, and we are thrilled to announce that TC Legal will be adding criminal defense to its practice portfolio. We're very excited to provide this offering to people of the public and our clients, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to my very talented and smart colleague, Caitlin Perrin, who will be heading up the criminal defense side of our practice at TC Legal. Caitlin, welcome.
Thank you. It's a very kind introduction for sure.
How are you feeling?
Good. I'm feeling really excited to get back to doing criminal defense. That's where I started, and I've kind of been at the Crown's office for 4 or 5 years, and it's going to be nice to get back.
Yeah, you should be excited. You're on the cusp of doing some great things. So you said that you were at the Crown Prosecutor's office for the last little while. What prompted you to change back to criminal defense?
I think it's kind of what prompted me to go there in the first place. Obviously, I went to the Crown's office during the pandemic when the economy and what was going to happen was really up in the air. And there was a pretty significant shift in criminal law where my primary practice was potentially not going to be as strong as it was before. And so I made the decision, mostly for personal and financial reasons, to go back to the Crown's office. It's been a really wonderful experience. I've got to do a lot of things I would never be able to do as a defense lawyer, obviously. But, when I was looking long term for what I wanted to do for the remainder of my career, I realized that criminal defense was definitely where I preferred to be and where I felt more natural. And so I made the decision to return, although I got some encouragement from you in that front. So,
yeah, I think, having that experience on both sides of the aisle provides a very unique perspective into the practice, because I started off doing insurance defense myself.
Yeah.
And so, defending insurance companies against injured parties, and then flipping over 9 years ago now to representing injured parties against insurance companies. I think one of the things that as lawyers, aside from providing, rigorous advocacy and legal advice, is also managing our clients' expectations. And so if you've been on the other side in that room with those people and thinking about things strategically from the other side of it, I think it offers a bit of a unique, almost a competitive advantage to be able to provide that service to the clients. What are your thoughts on that, being able to practice now on both sides?
Yeah, I definitely think that plays out in criminal defense as well. I mean, one of the things I definitely learned right away at the Crown's office is just how high a reasonable doubt can be. It's really difficult to prove things beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the legal standard. You have to prove things in criminal law. And one of the first experiences I remember as a Crown is running a trial and thinking, yeah, this was great. We did a really good job in cross-examination of the accused. There was a lot of impeachment. And then you come back and the judge agrees with you. They're like, yeah, he was impeached, but we still don't think you're there. And I remember walking out of the courtroom being like, this is very different from the criminal side of things, where, if you're really successful at your cross-examination and at your strategy as defense, and the judge doesn't believe the person as a result of that, then generally speaking, in criminal defense, you've been successful. And at the Crown's, on the Crown side of things, that's not the case. So it's a really, really high onus, and I think it made me pay even more attention to the small details to make sure that I was doing everything possible to get over that hump, which is very different than the defense side for sure.
Mm-hmm. So you just finished litigating or prosecuting a murder trial. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it was a month-long homicide trial that involved a stabbing that occurred in 2022. Obviously, homicide trials are always way more serious. Someone's life is on the line, someone's passed away as a result of it, and everyone takes it extremely seriously. And this happened to be a jury trial, so we did about a week of pre-trials dealing with charter issues, voluntariness issues, moved into the jury trial, and then after about 15, 16 hours of deliberation, which is always a stressful time, the jury came back with their verdict, and it was definitely the longest experience I had at the Crown's office. Not the longest trial I've ever ran, but definitely the longest non-stop trial that I had to go through for sure.
Yeah, so that's some heavy stuff, right? Like, I'm running a murder trial. It's obviously very difficult, a difficult subject matter. How do you keep sane?
Honestly, I think a huge part of it is just being able to keep some boundaries up. So I take my work very seriously, and I've always done that. But when I go home, I try to make sure that my work stays not there. And, sometimes I go home a little bit later, but when I get there, I'm just trying to make sure I can hang out and relax, read a book, play with my dog, do some baking, things like that.
Right, I understand you're a cake connoisseur.
Well, it's definitely a hobby. I wouldn't say it's something that makes me a professional.
Well, no,
but...
I don't know about that. When I said incredibly talented, I was being very serious. We got some pictures of your cakes here. Look at that, John Deere. I guess you were probably riding around on those back on the farm growing up on those John Deeres.
Well, I think I grew up on a Minneapolis Moline tractor, so a little bit different. But yeah, one of the people that I work with in the Strathmore area asked me to make that cake for their daughter's 18th birthday.
Oh, okay. Very
That's
nice.
almost all the cakes that I make are just for friends and family, and they send me some pictures and I make them. And honestly, I've made a few even during this homicide trial. I made them on the weekends, and it's just a really nice way to relax. I put on like the Hamilton soundtrack and put my hair up, and I just spent all that time in the kitchen. So
Yeah, I take it you also watch some Paw Patrol.
no, actually, there's so many cakes that I've made that people are like, "Oh, can you make Peppa the Pig or some Pusheen the cat?" And I'm like, I don't know who those are, but if you can spell it for me, I'll Google it. And so a bunch of them, other than somebody who's like, I'd like a lemon cake. I'm like, I know what that is, but no. Paw Patrol was for one of my best friend's son's birthday, and he was obsessed with it. I actually made him two. I made him a nice double-decker one, and then like a rubble one with a bunch of construction workers. So it was cool.
Are you big into obsessed with PlayStation 2 yourself?
No, honestly, I don't play any video games. I think I had a Game Boy, and all I ever played on it was Tetris when I was a kid. So
Okay,
again, that
so
one I had to Google too.
Maybe we'll get you to make a Game Boy cake then.
Yeah, that one I wouldn't have to Google quite as much. I'd have an idea of what it looked like.
So I wasn't joking when I said, one of the smartest lawyers I know, because, and I know a lot of lawyers. I remember back when we were articling, the whole articling process. And so for those who don't know, when we article as lawyers in Canada, for us to be called to the bar and practice law, we have to go through a process called articling. It's like an apprenticeship. So we apply to law firms and lawyers, and they have to sort of take us under their wing, where they're understudies for a year while we're doing the bar course. And so you have to apply to these law firms. And when you're the average student, you're like, you put the application in and you just beg, please, just accept my application, please. And with Caitlin, it was the opposite. It was like the law firms were fighting out amongst themselves, duking it out amongst themselves, begging her to come on and be their articling student. So that's why I'm even more stoked that you chose to join us and head up our criminal defense practice.
So I think this is a little bit of an exaggeration. They weren't begging me to come, but I had a number of options, which was interesting because I ended up having to turn them down to go into criminal law. The
Right.
places that I had applied to were out of province, were in intellectual property, but after doing volunteering with student legal assistance and getting to represent individuals, it was like a complete 180 in law school that I did, because I went in there saying I would never do this, and then once I started, I was like, I'm never gonna stop. And so even again, when COVID hit, it never dawned on me to go to a different area of law, because criminal law is the only area that I wanted to practice in. So,
So you really enjoy doing that trial advocacy in the courtroom.
yeah, being in court is my favorite part of this job for sure, whether it's just going for smaller matters or the in-depth, lengthy trials, things like that. I love being in front of the judge and just responding to questions and thinking on your feet and making sure that you're covering off all of your bases. It's my favorite. It's my favorite part of this job.
Yeah. So I brought something with me, Caitlin. You probably have this framed somewhere on your wall.
It's looking a little rusty there.
This is the University of Calgary Blackstone Debating Medal, Faculty of Law. If you can just zoom in on that. 2011, 14 years ago. Can you believe that?
It's crazy, yeah.
That is crazy, yeah. So Caitlin and I are alumni of the University of Calgary Faculty of Law. We graduated together. And one of the things that we decided to do was we teamed up in 2011 and we participated in something called the Blackstone Debates, which is an annual debate competition that happens at the University of Calgary. And we ended up winning it. And, my kids make fun of me. They say, well, Caitlin probably carried you. And I say, no, that was the one time in my life where I outshined Caitlin, right? It was during the Blackstone debates. So we were the dynamic duo then. And I'm sure with this collaboration, we'll be the dynamic duo moving forward here.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think I might outshine you a little bit, in this particular area of law, but you can outshine me in personal injury.
All right, challenge accepted. So now with you coming back to criminal defense, practicing on the defense side, what's your vision in terms of where you see your practice going?
Yeah, my practice generally, obviously, I'm sort of starting from the basement here, like ground zero. So the beginning of it's definitely going to be developing that client base, demonstrating that I'm, firmly back on this side and ready to assist TC Legal's clients, my clients, in any matters that they have before the criminal courts. And so once that kind of gets going, my long-term plan is definitely to contribute and build some manner of a firm. I think it's very important in terms of mentorship and making sure you're practicing with lawyers who have the same principles and approach that you do, so that you have different options to provide to your client. Not everybody's going to be perfectly comfortable with me, just like people aren't perfectly comfortable with you. And just having some other perspectives, personalities kind of come into the firm, I think that's going to be really helpful. That's a long-term plan. But for the most part, I just want to, when I went to the Crown's office, I had a pretty established reputation and client base, and I want to get back to that and then just keep moving past.
So visit us at tclegal.law to see how we can assist you in your needs. And until next time, thank you very much for joining us.